Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TFD. I hope you're all doing well. Now, let's talk for a moment, because this one genuinely made me stop and stare at the screen. TFD supporters, you're not going to believe this. There are people in sports media who are actually paid to analyze the game, paid to inform fans, and yet somehow still manage to sound completely disconnected from reality. I saw a headline earlier and thought, there is no way this is serious. So, I clicked on it. Big mistake. A media member confidently proclaimed that they believe Caitlin Clark will not participate in the World Cup. And I just sat there thinking, wait, what? Come again? This is the same person who literally just covered her, praised her impact, and talked about her importance to the sport. And now, out of nowhere, we're throwing out speculation with zero grounding? This isn't analysis. It's noise. And honestly, it's getting embarrassing. So here said WNBA analyst Mrs. Mark with Caitlin Clark Team USA World Cup take. Caitlin Clark indirectly disputed a WNBA analyst's bold prediction about Clark's involvement in the 2026 FIBA World Cup. This was honestly unbelievable. Said Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark was one of many current women's basketball stars who took part in the Team USA training camp in Durham, North Carolina last month. We all see it. We all believe. Now look, Sue Bird being the managing director is something we all need to pay attention to. I'm not saying this lightly, but that alone should make people at least a little uneasy. I actually talked about this earlier in a video on the USA basketball training camp, especially when it comes to Paige Bueckers and what some people see as a clear agenda. As the critical drinker likes to say, there's always a message being pushed. When you combine that with what many fans call the Yukon Mafia, it's hard to ignore. That influence is real. You've got to keep your head on a swivel and really watch how these roster decisions are made. I won't say the word. I'm trying to clean it up. But if anything shady happens, people are going to notice. So here said the most notable of these is the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics. Yet there are several important events before that. The biggest one this year is the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup, which takes place in Berlin, Germany in September 2026. I'd assume that would be televised, most likely on NBC Sports or the USA Network. But that's just an educated guess. At this point, it's still too early to say anything for sure. So we got a sports media member here that believes Caitlin Clark is going to skip Team USA in the World Cup. Now, here said, during a January 1 live stream with Bleacher Report that listed bold predictions for the 2026 WNBA season, WNBA analyst Jordan Robinson said, "My prediction is that Caitlin Clark makes the 2026 World Cup roster, of course. But the timing of that, around September, playoffs are about to start, Indiana could be making a run for the finals because they got close this past year. But I think she makes the roster and declines to rest for the WNBA playoffs. That's not going to happen." What's he talking about? Here, quote, "I could see her saying, okay, cool, I make the World Cup roster, which probably means I'm going to make the Olympic roster. I'm just going to sit this one out because I want to bring a championship to the Fever," Robinson added of Clark. This was certainly a bold take from Robinson, given how important the World Cup is, especially when figuring out who will be on a future Olympics roster. So those comments completely missed the mark. And the reason is simple. We literally just covered this the other day. Here said, Caitlin Clark was the guest on a December 31st episode of the New Heights podcast. At one point, she conveyed how important the 2026 FIBA World Cup actually is. Yeah, she talked about it. After talking about how nice it had been for Clark to be back on the court during the Team USA training camp, she said, "The training camp kind of kicks off the next cycle for preparing for the Olympics. And then we have the World Cup in 2026 at the end of September. So we'll actually pause the WNBA season, very similar to how we do when we have the Olympics, right before the playoffs. And then we'll play the World Cup. You know what the best part is? We're actually getting even more Caitlin Clark this year. Yeah, man, and after everything last year, that's exactly what we needed. Here, quote, which technically the World Cup, in the past, has almost been harder for us to win because there's more teams that play in the World Cup than teams who qualified for the Olympics. So sometimes it's harder to win that. Look, this very closely. Said, so hopefully I'm on the team for that. Clark added of the 2026 FIBA World Cup. And my goal is to be on the Olympic team for 2028. It feels like it's far away, but it's probably way closer than it sounds. So once again, she was clearly talking about the World Cup. She literally said she hopes to be on that team. Then she followed it up by saying her long-term goal is also to make the 2028 Olympic team. That's not vague. That's not open to interpretation. That's about as direct as it gets. So what exactly are these media members doing? Seriously, what is the logic here? You're going to come out and predict that she's going to skip it? Based on what? Because that makes absolutely no sense. She spoke with real conviction. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty. You could hear it in her voice and see it in the way she talked about it. This matters to her. Representing her country clearly matters to her. Tell me what you think. I am done. Don't forget like and subscribe for daily updates. And yet, somehow, sports media hears all that and decides, yeah, she probably won't do it. I mean, what are we even doing at this point? That's why I wanted to make this video, to shut this nonsense down immediately. Calling this a bold prediction doesn't make it smart. It's just wrong. She just told you she wants to play. She just told you it's important to her. Why ignore that? Honestly, tell me what you think. Don't forget like and subscribe for daily updates.
It was fun, obviously, to get back out there. It had been a minute, so it was just obviously a long and tough year of reoccurring injuries, and you guys know how that goes. When you get one nagging thing, it kind of leads to another. So it wasn't obviously how I envisioned it, and it stunk, but we still kind of found a way. Our team, we had 6 of our players go down with injuries. It was unreal, and we still had a great year. Made it to the semifinals, and yeah, we were a game away from the finals, and so that was pretty impressive considering kind of what we went through. But it was a long process to just get back on the court, because when you have the groins and the quads and whatever you're dealing with, it's you don't run for a while, so it's weird learning to run again in a way. And then on top of that, going to play versus the best players again, and just getting tossed out back into the fire. But it was fun. I probably wouldn't have wanted any other way. You get thrown back out there with the best players in the world, and you see you're right where you were before you got hurt. And it was only 3 days, so it was cool. And it was at Duke, which is obviously one of the most historic basketball places ever. So that was a pretty cool thing too. And kind of kicks off the next cycle for preparing for the Olympics. And then we have the World Cup in 2026. So at the end of September. So we'll actually pause the WNBA season, very similar how we do when we have the Olympics, right before the playoffs. And then we'll go play the World Cup, which technically the World Cup in the past has almost been harder for us to win because there's more teams that play in the World Cup than qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's harder to win that. So hopefully I'm on the team for that. And obviously my goal is to be on the Olympic team in 2028. So it feels like it's far away, but it's probably actually way closer than it sounds.
It'll be here as soon as you know.